My name is Deirdre Williamson. I've been with the Belfast Trust for nearly 4 years. I'm a biomedical scientist and I have been just introduced this year to Read and Write. It was recommended to me through my trust email. Now, at first, when I seen it, I thought it was related to people who had difficulty with dyslexia for reading and writing. Now, I myself had communication skills issues and I wanted to try and improve them. So I thought I would look into it and see could it help me, which it did, and I discovered it was for way more than what I thought, which was great. Yes, I have a Marfan's phenotype. And neurodiversity is like an attribute of the Marfan's phenotype. I also have excessive mobility syndrome, which is another attribute to the Marfan's phenotype. And obviously, for me, it causes me to have some communication skill issues. I tend to misinterpret what a lot of people say to me. I sometimes find it difficult to translate information on paper, and it all depends on how direct or indirect the information is on the paper. If it's too messy, I find it very difficult to make out. And I think by accessing the Read and Write, it certainly has tools that help me do that, and that is why I wanted to take part, because I thought, well, if this helps me improve my communication skills and how things are translated to me, that would be fantastic. So I had a lot of communication skill issues by not basically understanding communication properly, which I was quite aware of the older I got. So I would tend to ask people the same question over and over again, 50 to 100 times, which can be quite annoying. I would have to rely on people to give me the patience to allow me to write information down literally in baby steps, like press, the letter T, open up the page, click on, this note, then go here, then go there, press 1, press 2. I would literally have to do that step by step. So as that to give me the confidence that if I had to do the job again, I didn't have to keep going back and asking the same questions over and over, which kind of made me, I would say, vulnerable and very self-conscious. And I was always fearful, so it makes you kind of like a loner. You tend to want to figure things out for yourself because you're afraid that you will irritate people and drive people crazy by constantly asking them questions. And you also don't want to come across like you don't have the ability to do the job, because you know you can do it, but you have to find strategies your way to be able to do it, and you can't do it the way other people can do it. So they're kind of the strategies. And communicating with people, I often, a lot of times, misunderstand what people say to me, and that can be difficult because people can get angry with you for the wrong reason. Well, again, I limited my conversations with people, which is kind of sad, but I felt like I had to do that. But again, I would write down in detail everything that I have to do, so as I didn't have to return back to that person. Now, I seen it as kind of, but I didn't have the ability that everybody else had, that my intellectual ability wasn't as good as everybody else, and this is why I had to do this. But in fact, I misunderstood that these were my strategies, that these were how I completed the duties, or how I learned, or how my intellectual ability was used, but it was just used in a different way to everybody else. But to me, I felt like I was inferior. And although people thought I was intellectual, I believed that I wasn't intellectual, but that wasn't the case. And this is how Read and Write can give somebody like me the confidence to realize, no, it's because I learn this differently. It's because how I strategize is just different to how somebody else strategizes how to do something. And it doesn't mean that my ability is lacking to somebody else's just because it's different. Well, again, I thought it was something that may help me or may not help me, because I thought it was related to people who had difficulties with reading and writing due to dyslexia. And it's absolutely not. And I think that's a shame that that misconception does come across, because it's so much more. Like, I realized once I started the course that it's related to everybody, including me with neurodiversity, and for people with other disabilities, and for those who don't have disabilities, for those that are just find it that little bit harder than everybody else, or that just, like other people, find it a different way of learning, that they learn differently like to others. They don't necessarily have to have a disability, you know, and some people take longer to learn things than others. I would be kind of a slow learner, and that it would just take me that little bit extra to learn. It doesn't mean that I'm not as capable as everybody else. It just means that it takes me that little longer. And I felt like if I hadn't decided that I needed to find something that might help me with my communicating skills, that I may have brushed this aside and not thought that it could help me at all. And I'm wondering how many people receive an email like that and think, oh, well, that's not related to me because I don't suffer with dyslexia and I'm okay. So that's where I think there's a little bit of kind of a shame with how the app is promoted, because I feel that, you know, everybody should know about this app. Well, for me, it helps me in multiple ways. So it does take a little while to get used to the different types of programs in it, but it is easy. And once you don't have to keep checking how to access each item, you'll run with it. Like, I love the dictionary, so if I'm typing out stuff or reading stuff and I want to interpret a word that I'm not sure, I can hit on the dictionary or the prediction. And the dictionary will not only give me a term, but if I want a picture, I click on the picture dictionary and it'll actually give me a picture illustration. Now, I use this for more than just trying to figure out what a term means or what a prediction means. I actually use it to prompt me. So sometimes, like when I do some of my jobs, when I'm noting different jobs and how I carry out that job, I just have like a simple thing like an Altona, which I carry out a manual plate. I actually have a picture of a plate which I took from the dictionary, and that actually prompts me. And when I see that picture, it actually prompts me to remember the whole procedure. And this is how wonderful one little simple thing can do. For somebody like me who has neurodiversity, sometimes I need a prompt. And for other tests I have, like I may need 2 controls, I may need 1 control. I have a picture of just 2 blood samples and a person getting an injection. I know, okay, so that's the extraction sample I need, and I need 2 controls instead of just 1 control for this test. And just that alone prompts me that that's what I need, because sometimes I have to go, okay, I have to carry out this test. I've done this multiple times, but there'll be one little tiny thing that I don't remember. So I'll be flicking through my notebook on pages upon pages, going back to try and find the details, or running to my computer trying to find the SOP and shuffling through it. This just allows me to click on one page and it brings me straight to it. And that just visual aspect for me prompts me immediately what I have to do, volumes, what are required, what samples are required, just that one little thing. And it's absolutely fantastic. The PDF reader, I absolutely love it, because I can highlight anything that I need. If I want to save a paragraph for a particular reason, usually I make notes and then forget why I've noted these notes and what they refer to. I can actually type in a note into that PDF and it saves that note and it tells me what is related to and what it refers to, which is fantastic. And then if I'm reading something else, which is a couple of pages, maybe 100 pages ahead of what I'm reading, and there's something in it that relates back to something I've read previously, all I have to do is click on the magnifying glass, type in the word in that section that I remember, and it will bring me exactly to that paragraph. And it means I don't have to go back monotonously reading through pages trying to find this misinformation that I knew I highlighted somewhere or noted somewhere and just can't remember. It's absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love the screen masking. I use that all the time. So when I'm reading a PDF or a web page document or even my Word document, I use the masking all the time, because for me, with my neurodiversity, it tends, if there's too much information, too much writing all around me, I get confused. Even though I'm reading one section, it's like my eyes are looking at the other words and taking in the other words, and it causes confusion. And with this masking, it not only helps me focus on the one section that I need to focus on, but it blurs out everything else, and it means my brain only has that to take in, and my memory, my information intake is much faster than what it would have been before. In fact, I would have said, you no way, I have to read this 100 times, I have to write it out 100 times before I can remember this. And that's not the case anymore. I'm maybe reading it once or twice, and I'm now remembering the sections where I read the information simply because of that masking. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. I use the highlights basically, like obviously, especially in my work when I'm noting things, and it helps me in my specials when I'm talking about different techniques and samples that are required. So obviously with different diagnostic tests that are carried out, there's different type of samples that are required, and I highlight my sentence in the colour that basically the sample is, and all I have to do is see that colour, and I literally will remember that whole paragraph and the information to which I have written just simply by that highlight. It's absolutely brilliant. Or when I'm even documenting things in order, because I love a kind of a structure. So I have my highlights in, in kind of an order of colour. And once they're in that order of colour, I can nearly like remember absolutely everything by merely glancing. I don't have to read 10 different paragraphs to know which paragraph I have to read. I will go to I know that, oh no, that's the yellow highlight. Oh no, that's the purple highlight. And I can instantly go to it because my brain visually recognizes those aspects. So therefore I don't have to muddle around, and it's just brilliant. It just helps my thinking, far better, my retaining of information and my accuracy. When I'm trying to obtain information from a document, it directs my accuracy really precisely and very quickly. Saves me a lot of time, a lot of time. Yes, I definitely would recommend reading Mike, because for me, I struggled all my life with this, with my neurodiversity, with my communication skills. I found it very difficult to interact with people and to kind of feel that I had the ability to do stuff, and to have achievements in my life. And I know that if I had had this when I was a child, I would be a doctor today, because that was my dream that I never fulfilled, because I believed that that was for those who were intelligent and those that had the ability to do it. And if I had had something that helped me hone my skill and understand my skill, I definitely would have achieved a lot more in my life as a young adult. And so I think that this would be a shame if people weren't introduced to this in the trust, like especially like new staff. Like I think if management, knew about this app and incorporated this by introducing it to all staff and new staff that started, they understood a little bit about it, they could explain how it could help every staff member. I think, it would be great if it was an ongoing course for that reason for staff, so that if new staff started, and they could have access to it. It would help them with SOPs. It would help them if they were doing a specialist, or even, you know, trainee students coming in doing portfolios. I think it would absolutely like help those as well. And it would help staff maybe that don't realise that they have difficulties and just think that they're different. It would help them realise that no, I'm not different. I just do things different, and I'm well capable like everybody else. And I think there's a lack of information in relation to this app to everybody, and I think it would be great if management had that information and passed it on to everyone.